In today's Gospel, we hear the story of the woman at the well, a Samaritan, therefore a foreigner, a woman, therefore already marginalised, one who had 5 husbands, therefore rejected by her own community, comes to the well alone in the heat of the day. Isolated, self-isolated even. It's as if she's got a nasty virus. At the moment, it might seem that the only thing we're talking about, the only thing that everyone's talking about is coronavirus. That might make a nice change from Brexit, but for many, it's even more overwhelming, even more frightening. What do we do? What advice do we follow? Is that advice the right advice? Most of us are not scientists. And so the best thing that we can do is to trust others and to follow the guidelines that we've been given. And I grant you that that is not easy. But what about our faith? How do we respond as followers of Jesus Christ? Well, it seems to me that there are 3 possible responses. The first one is fear. Coronavirus can seem quite scary. And so it is natural for us to be afraid. But fear is not a great place for us to remain. And it's not a great starting point for making decisions. I don't know how many times Jesus said in the Gospel, "Do not be afraid." And the Italian Sicilian judge, Paolo Borsellino, once said, "Those who are afraid die every day. But those who are not afraid die only once." The second response is self-interest. It's very tempting when we're frightened or we're worried about what the future will hold or when we don't know, to think only of ourselves or at best of our families. And while that is natural and it's understandable, the thing is that we're all linked. The nurse, the cleaner, the one who delivers our food, the old person who lives alone. We all depend on each other. That's called solidarity. Yes, it is possible for us to wrap ourselves in toilet paper and hide in a cupboard with 20 years' worth of dried pasta, and chances are we'll come out with barely a runny nose. But we'll emerge half the person that we were. A crisis is a real test of a person's character. And those who think only of themselves might end up being perfectly healthy physically, but they will have lost their very soul. The third response is really the only one, and that is the response of love. Love casts out fear. Love overcomes selfishness. Love is the only antidote. At this time, we might find ourselves spending less time with other people physically, but our focus should still remain outward. It's not just about us. It's not just about even our family and friends. It's not even just about our country. It is about all of us. There is never a circumstance where it's not appropriate for us to reach out to those in need. There is never an occasion where it's not right for us to take care of those less fortunate than ourselves. There is never a moment when it's not the best thing to serve each other. And there are also no scenarios where we are absolved from the responsibility of treating each other with respect and kindness. Even Jesus, on his way to the cross, found time to take care of the women who were weeping because of him. So what does all this mean practically? Well, first of all, think about the poor. It's the poor who are going to be most affected by any crisis, including this one. At the moment, most food banks are running out of food because we're all too busy panic buying toilet roll. So next time you go to Tesco's or Sainsbury's, think about getting some things for the food bank and remember that there's a donation point here at the back of church. Also remember those in the developing world, because when they get hit by the coronavirus, it will be far, far worse for them. Consider supporting an agency such as CAFOD. Secondly, look out for your neighbours. Look out for those who are elderly, those who are vulnerable, and those who are needing to self-isolate. Is there anything that you can do to help them? Do they need a meal? Do they need some food delivered? Do they need any jobs doing? We can take care of each other. And the third thing is, well, I don't know how to say it, but remember that coronavirus is an infection of the lungs, not of the mind. So don't stop being kind. Comments made on WhatsApp groups, comments about children keeping away from other children, people trying to avoid or saying unpleasant things about people who look a bit foreign, and other ways in which we can be quite judgmental. Those things are not right at the best of times, and this is not the best of times, so they're definitely not right. So to sum it all up, first of all, don't be afraid. Secondly, don't just think of yourself. Thirdly, look out for each other. And above all, trust in God.